Welcome back, everybody. You're here with Alex, and we're going to do part 2 of recording guitars. And in this tutorial, I'm going to be going through a Scarlett interface. So if anyone who has the current gen Scarlett interfaces, whether it being the solo all the way up to the 18i20, I'm using the 4i4. It's the sweet spot if you want, like, two people playing guitar and also like vocals and whatnot. So I'm going to show you guys how to set it up along with Reaper as the recording interface, or the DAW. First thing first, if you do want to use Focusrite and you don't have any of like the tactile buttons in the front panel, you're going to have to download the Focusrite control. And so essentially this is your hub in order to control everything and monitor everything. I would say it's really complicated. So essentially, I'm just going to kind of break it down as little as I can. Your input settings is basically what's going through. As you can see, I have analog 2 going for my microphone, and it's a line out, and I'm using the additional boost and frequencies. The first one here is going to be my guitar, which is why it's an instrument, and the air and pad is not selected. And if I go ahead and hit the it should show right there. Basically, you don't want to clip, or else it's going to be really distorted. Best way to monitor it on your actual Scarlett is that whatever channel that you're using, you're going to see like a little LED halo glow. Basically, you want to be in the green to the orange. If it's completely red whenever you're playing, that means that you're clipping and you need to bring the signal down, which is basically just turn the input down. With guitar, I like to do the hardest chord I can. And if it shows red, just for that particular note, it should be fine. If you're using active pickups, I would say drop it just a little bit further. But if I play normally, you can see where it is, right, as far as the level goes. But then when I hit hard, you see, that's the way I basically balance the Scarlett input. The second thing is to make sure that your clock speed is matching wherever it is that you are recording to and from. So the sample rate is 48 for me. You could go to 44 if you wanted to, but 48's a general like sweet spot. And let's go ahead and open the Reaper. It is free to download, depending on your operating system. If you're at 64-bit or at the original 32, it's up to you. You're going to be greeted by this sign here if you've been using Reaper for quite a long time. It's free, but they do recommend that you buy it. However, the trial version doesn't stop you from doing anything, which I feel bad. I'm probably going to buy this eventually. But as you can see, 786 days I've been using this. You can get a license key, but if you just hit still evaluating, you're basically using it for free. So let me go ahead and go through this entire setup here, because once I set it up here, my mic's going to get messed up and I'm going to have to reconfigure everything so I can continue on with the tutorial. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into the options, preferences, and then this is where you're going to select your Focusrite and to configure it. Right here, as far as the devices go, audio system, the ASIO, not wave outs or direct sounds or anything like that. So ASIO, and the ASIO driver, you're going to find your Scarlett. So as you can see, I have my Axe effects and a couple of my other interfaces I've had in the past in here, and it'll automatically detect it. If it doesn't, just download the drivers for your, like I said, the Focusrite, or for the Axe effects or any other interface that you are using, and it should pop up once you restart it. So right now, I'm using the Focusrite USB ASIO. If you're on a Mac and you have Thunderbolt, it uses either or. For me, I'm using the USB. As far as the inputs, mine being the 4i4 has 4 inputs. So from the start of input 1 all the way to the max of input 4, okay? As far as outputs, that's basically to your speakers. Mine I'm able to output up to 4 speakers. For most people, if you're just using the 2, it doesn't hurt to have from 1 all the way to your maxed out. It's going to auto detect the speakers basically. So you're going to be fine. And then again, at 48,000 kilohertz is what I'm set to. So if you wanted to make a brand new track, you would basically go to the over here, track, insert a new track, and then it's going to auto default to the first input that you have in your interface, which is going to be input 1 in mono, which is my guitar. So what I'm going to do right now is that I'm going to set everything up here without having an interference with my microphone. So stay tuned. As you can see, I have my microphone. It's armed. If I turn it off, you won't be able to hear me. So we're going to do the same thing with the first track that we have here, right? So like I said, if we just play normal, it's basically your dry sound. You don't want that. It's not ideal. You'll want that for reamping, but we'll talk about that maybe in another episode if we get to it. Now, there are 2 ways to do this. Neural DSP, they have like their standalone application where you can load it up without having to have like a DAW or Reaper opened up, and then you open something inside of that if you don't have a really powerful computer. But what we're going to do is basically load up the Neural DSP plugin inside of Reaper for people who basically want to understand how to use it. So let's go with the Petrucci. And there you go. So now we actually have our all-inclusive amplifier, kind of like an Axe-Fx, right? So if I play something now, before we do anything too, make sure you have this armed. And if you don't hear anything too, right-click the recording circle. Make sure that the monitor input is highlighted, okay? Usually by default by now it is. So by then, we should have something going through. And there you go. You basically have a tone and you're ready to rock and roll. Most of the times with the Neural DSP stuff, it sounds great as is. You could try some presets. So let's see if we want to do some heavy stuff. And you basically go through it like a normal amplifier. You can choose how much gain and so forth. So I won't go through everything there. The other thing I was telling you guys about before with the speaker IRs is basically the cabinet, right? So here there are a couple different presets basically with different mics, and you can load your own independent IRs as well. So that's probably going to be something for another video unless you wanted to dig really deep into like the IRs, but basically it's your cabinet that you're using with the amplifier head. So from there, like I said, everything sounds pretty awesome as far as presets. You don't really have to do anything. It kind of has it for you. So like I didn't play that right? And that's it. You can tweak it, and then basically you're good to go. You would basically hit the record button and then start jamming whatever you'd like. So let's say if you don't want to use any of the Neural DSP stuff or anything that costs you more money than what you already paid for your Scarlett interface, right? You can basically download freeware. As you can see, it's a VST. So let me delete that. Now, disclaimer, this is going to take up a little bit more knowledge to understand. You're basically making a pedal board / amp in an entire signal chain, kind of like what we just saw on the Neural DSP. And if you've ever seen the Axe-Fx tutorial I had for making a tone, we're going to do the same thing here. So from my guitar, we're going to go to the first thing that hits my signal, which is a tube screamer. I have a vast amount of plugins, so we're going to go through here. And there you go. There's my tube screamer. Basically like the real thing, all beat up and everything too. So right after the tube screamer, I don't really use anything else after that. So we're going to go through the amp head. I have like a Randall kind of amplifier head, which is pretty cool. There you go. So if you think that's all you need, you're wrong. Because like I said, this is basically just the amp head. So if you were to play, it sounds like crap, right? So you do need to load in a cabinet loader. There is one by a company called Poland, and he has this thing called the LeCab, and it looks like that. Now, you're not going to get any sound if you don't have any cabinets loaded. It's just basically bypassing your entire signal, almost like your tube amplifier is left on standby. So let's turn this on, and we're going to load up some cabinets. These are basically 412s, different microphones, different like placements and everything. So let's go ahead and use this one here. It's a Mesa Boogie with a vintage 30, and it's going through a C412 mic. So now it resembles an actual amplifier, right? So let's go ahead and tweak around with it. Like I said, it might be clipping. I can't really tell right now, but if you want more gain, you want some compression and stuff, you want some super scoop Metallica kind of stuff, I don't know how it goes, but you get the idea. And then from there, you would basically hit the record and have fun. Like I said, no delay, no reverb, no additional things. You do have to download everything separately or find any kind of like effects into your DAW. So like, let's say you wanted some reverb or something. So let's move this out of the way. You would have to add it into your signal chain. I have all these things here. So let me just close everything out. So like, let's say delay, right? And the more plugins you use, the more computer power you're gonna basically sacrifice. So let's go with this here. And then we're gonna put this, I'd like to put the delay kind of like in between the amp and the cab. So now we get the, right? Now you got some delay, right? And how long you want the delay to go. So it's tough to get this all set up. Like I said, it's kind of weird at times. Some delays and some effects are easier to work than others. So let's try another delay by Waves. It's going to take more CPU power as well. And let's see. So we got, all right. So let's go ahead and bring this down. Bring it up again. So let's see here. Classics tape delay, right? But now the problem is I'm getting a little bit of latency because of this plugin really attacking my CPU power. So that's the downside of playing and recording with like a plugin like this. It's because you have to basically build everything, and then it's not going to be as precise as like the neural stuff or anything else like an Axe Effects. You're going to get a little bit of latency, right? So hopefully this helps you with understanding this whole journey of like learning how to play guitar on your computer and recording. If it was me, I would say I'd stay away from all of like the free stuff. Besides like maybe the basics like I have here, like the Randall, the cab loader, and like a tube screamer. And then later on, figure out the delay stuff on your own time, but it does take a while to get it like perfectly dialed. I would probably just stay with this, and if not, just like I said, you can get the neural DSP stuff right as a standalone. So then that way you don't have to worry about messing with like individual pedals and stuff, loading them in and out. Everything's basically here: your overdrives, your phasers, chorus, whatnot. You don't have to worry about the way it's arranged in your effects chain, and you have everything here basically. Even the cabinets too. You don't have to worry about doing any of that crazy stuff, and it's going to sound good.